So welcome everybody that made it today. This is what I'm calling the Michigan Azure and Microsoft 365 user group, but being that we're doing meetings virtually, it is become a global meeting. But I did make a nice Michigan, and any of you from Michigan can see I tried to, I got the ice fishing up in the UP, got some technology AI research here around where Michigan State and University of Michigan might be, and then some summer fun up in the northern part of Michigan where everybody goes to spend a lot of time. So I've adopted this as our group logo. So I'll continue to use that in our meetings. I'm calling this our inaugural meeting take 2 because I had some technical issues for the people that joined last month. So this is kind of our inaugural meeting now. I did a quick recording of what I was going to present last month and put that up on the YouTube channel, but this is kind of our inaugural meeting. And just wanted to kind of go over our group mission real quick and what I wanted to accomplish with this. Wanted to expand the knowledge of the user community, create an inclusive learning environment on cloud technologies, both Azure and 365. We're welcoming to share sessions, as we've got a couple gentlemen from Belgium in Europe today, and just share your content and have guest speakers on a monthly basis. No sales pitches, just knowledge and information, and all the sessions are being recorded and put up on the YouTube channel. If anybody doesn't know me, I'm an author, trainer. I currently work for Opsagility as a cloud training architect. I've also been a product manager for a couple different cloud service providers that work with Microsoft Azure and 365. Also have multiple Azure role-based certifications. You may know me from, I do some blogging on captainhyperscaler.com, and I'm available to be pinged on social media at the links provided here. So let's jump into the presentation for today. I want to introduce our speakers. I'm not going to go through both of your large bios of things of great things that you guys do, but we have Tim Hermie, who is a Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. Also has community hero and mentor hero badges, and does a lot of public speaking, and runs their own user group in Belgium, as well as is a architect for Synergix. And Wim Matthyssen, who is a cloud architect, also with Synergix, right?
Yep. And
also a Microsoft certified trainer. Also holds some hero badges for community hero and content hero. So with that, I will turn it over to you guys.
Okay, one moment. Let me share my screen.
Do I need to turn off? Oh,
yep, there it is. Okay.
There we go.
So hello everyone. Thank you for joining Tim and myself in our session titled Guardians of Your Microsoft Galaxy, 10 tips to make your cloud ecosystem more secure. Before we go to another introduction from ourselves, and before going through the agenda, we want to thank Dwayne for inviting us to deliver this talk for the Azure and 365 Michigan User Group. And we really hope you will learn something in this session that you can use in your daily job. So here we go. So like Dwayne already said, my name is Wim Matthyssen, and I work as a cloud architect at Synergix. In my job, I'm completely focused on Azure and the related Azure hybrid services. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, so I deliver all kinds of Azure trainings and workshops. Since the beginning of this year, I'm also a founding board member of the Belgium user group MC2MC, Microsoft Cloud and Client Management Community, where we focus on Azure and the complete Microsoft 365 stack. Like Dwayne already said, I'm also recognized as a Azure hero, a community hero, and content hero. And I also have my own blog at https://wmatthyssen.com. Like most IT professionals, I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn. So if you ever want to reach out, just want to say hi or ask a question, you can always contact me through my Twitter handle. I will let Tim introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here speaking at your user group. My name is Tim Hermie. I'm a senior modern workplace architect at Synergics, the same company where Wim works. Microsoft certified trainer for a year, also a founding board member of the Microsoft Cloud and Client Management community in Belgium. Since March or April, I also got recognized by Microsoft with the MVP Enterprise Mobility Award. My main focus is mostly on Intune, or the EMS stack of Microsoft. You can follow me on Twitter, and I'm also a frequent blogger at cloudboy.be with a big focus on Intune and WVD, Windows Virtual Desktop.
So on the agenda today, first of all, we go through the 10 tips, which can help you make your cloud, Microsoft Cloud ecosystem more secure. In between the tips, we also show some demos. At the end of the session, we will go to the key takeaways to focus on the things you should really remember about this session. And yeah, I think at the end, we still have some time to do a Q&A, so you can ask all your questions at Starlost. You will happy to answer them. So Tim, I think you need control now.
I can't take it. You're going to have to do the slides for me, but I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, fine with me.
First thing we're going to be talking about is multi-factor authentication and conditional access. So you can go to the next slide, Wim. We all know that identity is important these days. We're growing to a zero trust network where we have to keep our identity secure, our devices secure. Breaches happen a lot, and mostly by credential theft. A lot of passwords are duplicates. What do I mean? If I ask my mom, how many different passwords do you have for your work accounts, your Facebook account, your Gmail? She's just going to tell me I have one password for everything. We work in IT. We may have multiple, but that's a big issue around. And 80% of the employees use non-approved apps for work. So that's shadow IT. They have a Dropbox running, Google Drive. You don't know what they put in there. So you want to take control somewhere. I'm going to dive deeper into that later. So you can click Wim. So what do we have to do? And it's really easy. We have to protect at the front door, simplify access to devices and apps, and we have to safeguard our credentials. The first step here is implementing MFA. If we implement MFA, we can take away the breaches for 99%. So with the simple step of implementing MFA, we can upscale our security a lot. But if we couple it with Azure AD conditional access, we can even take it to the next level. Conditional access, it works with an if-then scenario. So for a simple example, if they work on a managed device, an Intune managed device, they don't get an MFA prompt. If they want to look into their corporate email from a bring your own device, it will prompt an MFA. You can work together with MDATP, with user risk, session risk. So if I log in now here in Belgium, I don't get an MFA prompt, or if someone logs in the States with my account, 10 minutes later, it will trigger it as a high risk event and it will block it. So with conditional access, we can block a lot of things and keep our security really high. Yeah, next slide, Wim.
And then it's up to me again. So our next tip is the break glass account. Yeah, just like Tim told you, MFA is one of those things you should enable to better protect your identities. But what when MFA malfunctions and you're not able to log in, for example, in your Azure portal, or that you're completely locked out of your Azure AD organization because you can't sign in anymore with your administrative accounts. To solve this, you can create 2 or maximum 3 emergency access, or like they say, break glass accounts. You just keep in mind to only use those accounts in case of an emergency and only when it's absolutely necessary. These accounts should be cloud-only accounts that use the .onmicrosoft.com domain, and those accounts should not be federated or synchronized from any on-premises environment. You should also make them global administrator for permanent and for these accounts, and you should exclude them from MFA and or any other conditional access policy you have. It's also best to use a service admin account, so you don't associate them with an individual user in the organization, and you should not call them emergency or break the glass admin, because if an attacker then gets into your Azure AD, it's easy for him to guess which account is that break glass account, and he can use it to do bad stuff. You also should have a long, complex password, at least 16 characters long, but in my opinion, it's better to go for 128, the maximum you can do. You can store that password in a password manager, or you can print it out, cut it in 2, and store it in different vaults. And only maximum 3 persons should be aware of this password. You should also monitor these accounts. You can do it with MCAS or Azure AD Audit, because they are not protected with any form of conditional access or MFA. And then it's best you get notified in the unlikely event, let us say, that an attacker has breached one of those accounts. So up to you, Tim.
Thank you, Wim. The next point I want to talk about is privileged identity management, or PIM. And it's another issue that I see a lot when I work on projects with clients. The first time I log in, I do a little audit of their environment, and it always surprises me how many global admin accounts are activated. I've even seen guest users in tenants with global admin rights. The recommendations from Microsoft are maximum 3 global admins per tenant, maybe 5 are okay. I really really like to keep my list of global admins low. I have an example. I had a project for a city that I was migrating to the cloud, to Intune, and we started there with 10 global admins, and I could drill them down to just 1 global admin, just with activating privileged identity management. But what is privileged identity management? And it's simple to explain. We strip down all their roles. We only give them the lesser roles that they need, but they can ask for the rights or ask the permissions to get the global admin themselves without any interaction from IT. I'm going to demo it in a bit. So they can enable on-demand, just-in-time administrative access to Microsoft Online services. You have multiple options. It can be automatic, that you don't need to approve it. You can put some approval process in there that they have to put in a ticket number or whatever. It's all possible. How does it work? So the admin user needs to activate the privileges to perform a task. If he doesn't have MFA enforced on his user, it will get enforced during the registration process. Privileges can be time-bound. You can choose yourself how long you can give it to them. For example, if they ask for a global admin account, they can only use it for 1 hour or 2 hours. If they ask for a SharePoint administrator account, you can give it for them for 8 hours. If the time frame has passed, so if the hours passed, they will get stripped down of their role automatically. And a great advantage of PIM is it has a detailed reporting and auditing. It's really extensive. The only downside to privileged identity management is that it's only in the E5 license, so it's not cheap, but it's a really great tool. So there is some built-in PIM audit history, but I'll give you a demo on how it works. So let me hijack.
Yep, go ahead.
The slides. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, great. So if we go to privileged identity management, so we go to the portal.azure.com, privileged identity management, and we're going to go to manage. I'm going to show you what the options are there. So for my global admin, for example, what options can I set? You can set a maximum duration of, I've set it for 2 hours. Require justification is on yes. You can put in that you have to put in a ticket number. If you're working with a ticketing system, that they have to put in a ticket number for why they need those rights. On activation, MFA is required. You can also enable that someone has to approve the activation. You can see it in my tenant, it stands on no, so it's an automatic process, and I'm going to show you also. If I'm going to log in with a dummy user, I'm going to enter my password. I'm going to stay signed in. And we're going to go to Azure Active Directory. You see immediately that I don't have access to everything. So I don't have any roles assigned. I can show you here also. I signed in with John Doe. The assigned role, I don't have any role. So, but I have to perform some tasks and I need a global administrator role. So let me show you. You go to Prim and the end user himself can do this. He can say my tasks, my roles. To what roles have I right to enable? And you see here, he's eligible for the global administrator role. So I can now click on activate. Here you can see the 2 hours. That's what I showed before. I've put 2 hours cap on the global admin. Additional verification. It's going to ask me for my MFA. So like I said, MFA is required. It's normal behavior. It should come through now, there. And now we can activate it. If all goes well. Yes. The demo gods. Let me try again.
That's because it's raining, Tim.
Yeah, it's okay, right? So yeah. You can put in some reason. So I have to do some administrative tasks. You put in your reason there. If you enable that they have to put in a ticket number, they get another field. You can click activate, and it's 3 stages. So it will process the request and activate your role. It will validate that your activation is successful. And since recently better, you don't have to sign out and sign in again. In the begin times of PIM, you had to sign out, sign in. You can see now here, it will refresh automatically and my role will be assigned. So let's go again to Azure Active Directory. And let's hope. There, and you can see I have the global administrator role. Now I can do my tasks that I have to perform, and in 2 hours, I will get stripped down of my role again. Okay, you can take over again, Wim.
Yeah, okay. Screen 2. You'll see my second screen. I will project PowerPoint again.
Yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, our next tip, just-in-time access and Azure Bastion. So let me go ahead. The easiest way, but the least secure one to connect to an Azure VM is by using its public IP address. In that way, you can connect to it through RDP or SSH, depending if the VM is a Windows or a Linux one. This kind of way to connect to your IaaS VM is good when you're studying or when you need to do a quick test, but you should never use it in any production environment. Because by using it this way, both of those management ports are widely opened on the internet, and your VM can be easily attacked by, for example, a hacker that uses a brute force attack. That's why in most production environments, you see a kind of setup like this one. It's a high secure one. You can make a hybrid configuration from your on-premise environment to your Azure environment by use of a site-to-site VPN or an express route. And in that way, people, administrators can access the VMs running in your Azure environment in a secure way. But you can also use a point-to-site VPN to set up a secure connection to any VNet from an individual computer. These times you can already use certificate-based authentication or Radius, but now you can also select the option to use the OpenVPN protocol, and you can also use and combine it with Azure Active Directory authentication. One piece missing in this setup is a jump box. Yeah, probably everybody knows the jump box. It's a controlled endpoint which is used to access other devices in a separated security zone, or in one of the spokes in the VNet if you're working in the hub-spoke model. And to allow access from the internet or from your on-premise environment to that specific jump box, most of the time they use a PIP. So that's with a public IP address. And that's where just-in-time VM access comes in. With just-in-time VM access, you can control the access and reduce the attack surface to this jump box. To lock down the inbound traffic and to limit the amount of time that the management ports like RDP or SSH are open on that jump box. You should be aware that just-in-time is only available in a standard tier of Azure Security Center. So how does it work? Oh, sorry, one step too fast. How does it work? First of all, a user needs to request access to a VM, and then Security Center is going to check if that user has role-based access permissions to that specific VM. If so, that request is approved, and then Security Center automatically configures the NSG to allow inbound traffic to the selected port, if it's 3389 or 22. For a requested amount of time, it can now up to 24 hours, I think, by head. And after the access is stopped, the NSG is restored back in its previous state, and no one can log in anymore at those specific ports. And the good thing about it is all the requests can be reviewed and managed in the activity log, so you can keep control over who is asking, when he's asking, and what he's doing, for example. But now you also have Jumpbox is nice, but that's another VM in your environment you need to manage. You need to put updates on. You need to keep it available. You need to keep it running. And that's why Microsoft introduced Azure Bastion, which is a PaaS service that you provision inside your VNet, which will provide secure and seamless RDP SSH connectivity to your virtual machines directly in the Azure portal over SSL. How does, like you can see, it's a VNet injected managed appliance. And how does lives in its own subnet? It's named the Azure Bastion subnet. The name should be specifically Azure Bastion subnet, otherwise it doesn't work. And only port 443 SSL is exposed to the internet. Through your Bastion host, you connect with RDP for 3389 or SSH on port 22 to the private IP addresses of your VMs. And so by working in this way, the VMs itself don't need any public IP address for management purposes. So I think I'm going to do a little demo now. So everyone sees my Azure portal at the moment, I think. So the thing I first want to demo is just-in-time VM access. So if you go to Security Center, you scroll down, and in Advanced Cloud Defense part, you see just-in-time VM access. It will open. You can see 2 VMs are already configured with JIT. If you have other VMs running that are not configured, you can find them under the not configured part. You can simply put them also by enabling JIT, and then you configure which ports you want and for how many times, how long you want those ports to be open. That's the way to do it. If you go to the configured one and you click on one, you can see the activity log. If you open that one, yeah, I'm not accessed that machine for a long time, I think. You will get an activity log for everyone who has asked a connection to it. So if you go to a specific VM, so I will go to, they're over here. Oh, wait, I think I tagged them with the name of Guardians, so that's a lot easier. So if I want to connect to this VM through JIT, you just click on connect. You select it's a VM, it's a Windows VM, so I need RDP. You click on the RDP tab. You can see at the bottom there's a button called Request Access. You just click on it. You can see it's now requesting just-in-time VM access. And when it's ready, you can download your RDP file, and then yeah, it's opening over here. You can connect in a secure way to your VM. So an easier way to do it without this way is through the Azure Bastion, like I already told. You can see I already set up a Bastion host for a specific VNet. The thing is, if you go to the VM, they're over here. I will choose my Guardians again. So I also have a Windows VM over here. I click on again on the connect button. You can see there's a Bastion tab over there. You click on it. You fill in the username and the password. Here goes my super secret username and my super secret password. I hope I typed it right. Okay. If you then click on the connect button, it will connect. You can see it opens a new tab, and there is my VM. So I can now work directly, do anything I need to do just directly through SSL and within an RDP session, just in my browser. And I don't need to set up anything else, or I don't need a point-to-site VPN from my own device. I can do it directly from where I'm logged in the Azure portal. So that's my demo, and then I will share my PowerPoint again. So Tim, it's up to you again.
Yes, next topic is Microsoft Defender Advanced Threat Protection. And everyone knows the Microsoft Defender. We all got it running probably on our Windows 10 devices. Advanced Threat Protection is the cloud enablement piece of it. At the end, I'm going to be showing a demo about it, but also mostly about the integration with MCAS. You can click on the next slide, Wim, if you want.
Yeah, sorry.
So protecting an endpoint is hard, or it was hard. It could hit your performance on your endpoints. You mostly had a security team that took a lot of time and took a lot of skills. It was a silo apart, and it is also something that costs a lot. But every solution is expensive. You can click on the next slide again if you want. But Microsoft says protecting an endpoint was hard, and why? Because we now have Microsoft Defender ATP. Again, this is only in the most expensive licenses, the E5 licenses. You can also take it as a step up. So if you have an E3 and you don't want to pay the full price for an E5, you can take it as a single license with your E3 license. And it's a suite that has everything built in one console. It's really, really powerful. I'm not an expert in MDATP, but I use it a lot and mostly on the device management part. So what are some points that you can do with MDATP? You have attack surface reduction, so resist attacks and exploits. It has next generation protection. There's a whole AI system behind it. Endpoint detection and response. If something happens, a malware or a virus comes in, he'll really isolate it. If it's already spread through your organization, he'll really get to the point where it got in. You have auto investigation and remediation you can set up. advanced hunting, security posture, and one thing that isn't on this slide, you can also, if you have the license, consult with the Microsoft experts of MDATP to work together with you. You can take the next slide again, Wim. One cool thing is that it's also really working well together with Intune. I'm a big Intune fan, and it's mostly my main focus in my job and what I blog about. So you can it works well together with Microsoft Intune. So if you have any vulnerabilities in MDATP, you can send sort of a ticket to the Intune dashboard. It's called a security task. So you can pick up your task in Intune. If you work with different silos in your organization, you have a security team, they can monitor, see, oh, we have some applications that we need updated. They can send a ticket to the team that manages Intune, and they can pick it up there. So it's one ecosystem that works really well together. You can take the next slide, Wim.
Yeah, that's up to me again.
Yeah.
So the next tip we want to give you is to use Azure Service Health and Azure Advisor when you're doing all your Azure stuff. Azure Service Health, first of all, is one of those free-to-use Azure services, which notifies you of issues in the Azure backbone that are impacting your Azure resources or all other Azure services you have. It will not only help you to understand those issues, but will also tell you what the impact is, and it will give you a kind of personal guidance and support during the issue. It will also keep you informed on how Microsoft is resolving the issue, and it will also keep you updated if the issue is finally resolved. You can also go through a health history. You can go back 3 months, so up to 90 days. And you also can create your own Azure Service Health alerts, so you get notified when an issue is causing some problems in your Azure environment. So at the moment, you have different types of service health events. You have 4 of them now. The first one is a service issue itself, which informs you about outages and issues that could cause problems in your environment, like I already said before. Next to that, you also get visibility when planned maintenance is ahead for your EAS virtual machines. And the last 2 service health events are health and security advisories. Here we can get informed about some Azure features or services you're using that are being phased out or being replaced by Microsoft. So you can act to that and build something new for them or use another service in place. Or you can also be informed if you, for example, exceed a specific usage quota and you need to upscale your quota. Next to Azure Service Health, you have another great free service that's called Azure Advisor. You can see Azure Advisor as your free personal in-house cloud consultant, which will give you personalized best practices to optimize all your Azure workloads. You can do it for all your subscriptions from one place, and he gives those recommendations based on telemetry data it gathers from various Azure Monitor services. For the moment, there are 5 Azure dashboards. First of all, high availability. Recommendations that can pop up over there is you installed a virtual machine, but you didn't place it in an availability set. You will be informed about it in this dashboard. The next one is security. This dashboard in the back works together with Azure Security Center, so it will give the same security recommendations like Azure Security Center will give you. Then you also have performance. The latest one is the operation excellence, and the final one is costs. It's a little bit combined with Azure cost management, and it can help you to reduce your cloud spend, like they say. So a tip I want to give and a good best practice is to create a service health and an advisor alert. The advisor alert is still in preview, but both of those alerts can help you to get informed about service health events or advisor recommendations without of the need to open the Azure portal. So you can be informed by email or by whatever resource you want to be informed at. So use it. It can help you and it can save you some time, and especially it can also save you some money.
The next thing we're talking about is Azure AD security defaults. And what is Azure AD security defaults? For starters, you can find it. It's a little bit hidden. If you go to your portal at azure.com, Azure AD and properties, below you'll have manage security defaults. And what is it? In the beginning, we had 4 baseline conditional access policies. We had one require MFA for admins, which was a no-brainer to activate. We had an end user protection, which pushed it off for the end users. We blocked our legacy authentication. And we had a baseline policy for require MFA for service management. These have all been deprecated, so they won't be available anymore. They can still be visible in your tenant, but you won't be able to enable them. So either way, you had to recreate them, create your own conditional access policies, or you have to start working the Azure AD security defaults. With security defaults, you can just with one flip, put it from no to yes. The previous slide, if you want.
Sorry. Yeah.
You can flip it from no to yes, and with that action, you are enabling these bullets that are here. So you're requiring all the users to register for MFA. You require the admins to perform MFA, which also is again a no-brainer. We are blocking legacy authentication. We are requiring users to perform MFA when it's necessary, and we're protecting privileged activities like access to the Azure portal. It's a good feature to enable in organizations that aren't too big. If you are looking to the enterprises, you'll want to customize your conditional access policies yourself, of course, but it's a really nice feature that they've put in there. Yeah, up to you, Wim.
Yep. So the next one I want to talk about is role-based access control and resource locks. So for the people who don't know role-based access control, with role-based access control, which is an important part of your, should be an important part of your Azure governance strategy. You first of all can control who has access to your Azure resources, what they can do with it, with those resources, and what areas they have access to. For the moment, there are around 70 plus built-in roles you can use, but you can also create your own ones. You can create your own custom roles. And you should always implement or use it with the least privileged access model. So we just give users the minimum access they need to fulfill their tasks. So how does role-based access control works? First of all, you define a security principle, which is an object that you can, that represents a user, a group, a service principle. A service principle is most of the time used by applications to access a resource, or it can also be a managed identity. A managed identity is an identity in Azure AD that is automatically managed by Azure and mostly used when people start developing cloud applications. Then secondly, you define the role, simply set the permissions you want to grant. And last but not least, you define the scope, which can be a management group, the subscription, a resource group, or a resource itself. Examples of when you might use role-based access control are, for example, to allow one user to manage the VMs in a subscription and another manager to another user to only manage the virtual networks, or to allow a database administrator to manage specific Microsoft SQL Server databases in a subscription. Like you can see in the screenshot, depending on the role, in this example, it's the back for backups. Depending on the role, a user has the capabilities to do more or less. So for example, the backup reader can just view. The backup operator can already enable the backup and restore it. And if you have the backup contributor role-based access control rights, you can also do policy management and delete and stop a specific backup. Then you also have resource locks. It's something really simple to implement, but if you see, if you look at customers, it's they almost never do it. For what can you use a resource lock? You can use it to prevent unexpected changes or modifications, or even worse, accidental deletion of a resource. There are two types of locks. First, you have the cannot delete. It shows as delete in the portal, so it's not really correct, the explanation, but yeah, it is what it is. Where you can read and modify the resource, but you can't delete it. And secondly, you have the read-only, where you can only read the resources, but you can't modify or delete it. Only users who have the required rights of owner and user access administrator can create or delete those locks. So you already need specific rights to be able to use it. Those resource locks can be applied to the Azure subscription level, to resource groups, or to the resource level. When applying locks, you need to watch out, especially for storage accounts. So resource group where storage accounts live in, and because putting a read-only lock on a specific resource with a storage account, it will prevent people to use the storage account keys. And the same goes ahead for everything related to Azure Backup, because if you put a lock on, for example, the automatically generated snapshots folder, it will stop the backups, so you won't be able to backup anymore. So I think it's time for a little demo again. I will switch this off. Yeah, my screen is gone. Okay, there's my old portal. So I have another portal. So if we go to the resource groups, you can see I have a specific resource group. It's a Lord of the Ring one. I already put a lock on it. So there's a do not delete lock on it. So the note says it prevents accidental deletion of this lock. So if we go to the overview and we try to delete this resource group, we type in the name. It's already some kind of security. So I think I forgot the one. Yeah, there it is. And you click on the delete one. You will receive a notification that this resource group can't be deleted because it has a lock on it. If you go to show role-based access control, so in these specific resource groups, there are VMs and some other stuff. So if you go to access control, you go to the role assignments, you can see I have a guest account. It's my community account. And I gave him the virtual machine contributor rights. So that specific account now has the possibility to work with everything related to VMs in that specific resource group, but nothing else. So that's a way how you can get more control in your environment, or to exclude specific people to do specific stuff in your environment. So it's simple to use it, but most of the times it's not used like it should be used. So I think we can go to the next tip. So Tim, it's up to you again.
Yes, let's talk about MCAS or Microsoft Cloud App Security now. And I've already mentioned the issue about shadow IT. A lot of workers or employees are using non-approved apps or non-sanctioned apps. There are more and more SaaS and cloud apps every day that are coming in the scene. So we'll have to take some control over it. We'll have to have some tool to monitor it, to see which apps are compliant to some certain rules and which not. And that's something that MCAS can do for us. You can go to the next slide, Wim.
Yeah.
So top CASB use cases, you can discover the cloud apps that are running. If you can integrate with Microsoft Defender ATP, so it's really one ecosystem that you're using. You can discover the cloud apps that are on the clients of on the devices of your employees. You can assess if the cloud apps meet compliance. You can govern them. But the really cool part is that you can sanction apps. The apps that you want to allow, you can sanction them. And you can unsanction the apps that you don't want to allow. If you put in a configuration together with Intune, MCAS, and MDATP, you can even block it. I'm going to show you that, and the blocking level really goes far. So you can go to the next slide, Wim. So what is Microsoft Cloud App Security? It's something that integrates with a lot of things in the Microsoft ecosystem. So it integrates with unified endpoint management. So we're talking about Intune here, or Microsoft Endpoint Manager. It integrates with data loss prevention, so with Azure Information Protection, with the identity system, Azure AD, conditional access. It really integrates great with MDATP, with Secure Score. So you have that one ecosystem where you can control everything. And in my opinion, that is really the power of the platform that Microsoft is offering us now. We have one closed ecosystem. We have those nice dashboards. Everything works together really well. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Wim. So here you can see, but I'm going to show this also. If we look at the discovered apps, so that are the apps that are found on the devices that are in our environment, in our production environment, you can see on how many machines it is installed, but you also see there the score. So Microsoft has put a score on apps, and the score will drop if they are not compliant to certain rules. You can go to the next slide, Wim. And I'll just demo it. Yeah, so I'll hijack again. Okay, so whoops.
Yeah, your screen is fine.
Yeah, here you have the Cloud App Catalog, and you see the score here. So what do they mean by score? Let's just look for an app. Let's say Dropbox. There, it has a 9. Why do they give it a 9 and not a 10? And you can see that it won't get certain compliancy scores, or it won't be compliant with ISO this, ISO that. If we go deeper, let's check another one. It has a 6. You can see here it doesn't support SAML. It's not compliant to the ISO 27001. So the less it is compliant with certain things, the score will drop. What is the power here? And let's go back again. You can add discovered apps. These are the apps that are found on your devices. So you can really monitor which apps are my employees using, which apps are they putting on their laptops if they can, and which apps do I want to block. I have some example here. Let's go back here. Everybody knows Twitch. It's a game streaming channel. It's well known, and you can see that I put the unsanctioned tag on. So that means that I don't want my end users to visit that site. It's just an example. Also with Dropbox, so those are the 2 scenarios I can show you. I've also put the unsanctioned tab. What does it mean? Let's try. If I go to Twitch, in Edge, it will get blocked. So Defender Smart Screen will kick in here. So that's really nice. Dropbox, the same. If I go to Dropbox, it will get blocked. Defender Smart Screen kicks in. But I can hear some people thinking now on what if we open it in another browser, because Defender Smart Screen won't kick in there. But let's try. And there you also get the notice it gets blocked, and Dropbox also. And this is something that's set up with 3 systems. So I've done the setup with MCAS together with MDATP and one configuration profile in Intune. If you want to read the full setup, I'm not going to go over it here, but I've blogged about it in detail on my site, step by step, how you can set it up. I have one more thing to show. So we can't open our sites. They are blocked, so it's okay. But what if I want to try to install the Dropbox client? And you'll see that it will also fail. It will also get triggered as an alert. Let's give it a sec. It shouldn't take long. Connecting to the internet. There, it's already hanging. Normally, I should get a pop-up. It's here. So it says this content is blocked. You are not allowed to do this, to take this action. They can't install it. So it's a really neat system that works really well. It's a combination of the three things. So like I said, it's Intune that's working together with Microsoft Defender, Advanced Threat Protection. And if we go look in the MDATP blade, you'll see at my device, which I'm working on, has a risk level, and it's triggered an alert. I can see it with the color there. So let's go to the alerts. And here you'll see connection to a blocked cloud application was detected. So you can even monitor it here. You can put in some automation that it gets emails get sent to the right people, to the security team. And you can see the process also here in a timeline that I've tried to go to Dropbox with the IP, and it just got blocked. So it's really easy to set up. If you want to do the setup, just go to my site, to my blog. You can follow it there. And that's a really neat method to sanction apps or unsanctioned apps and monitor them. And you can approve what you want, what is compliant for your company. You can take over, Wim.
Okay. So you're seeing my screen again. I think we have our final tip. So there it is again. So our final tip is to use, in your Azure environment, use Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center is your, how do you say it, main stop when you need a first broad overview of your Azure environment's security posture. If there is potential to improve your overall security center, Azure Security Center will give you recommendations that explains how a specific resource can be better protected. In addition to all that, you can also use advanced security features that will assist you to detect and protect against threats. Those features bring additional intelligence and will help you to make easier decisions that can drive your security to the next level. A new addition, I think it's released last week, is the automatic workflows, which will allow you to automatically react and trigger workflows based on certain conditions. So, for example, when a threat alert or a security recommendation is generated, an Azure function can kick ahead and can notify you through an email or something. You have two tiers for Security Center. You have the free tier, and next to that, you also have the standard tier. With the free tier, it's just like with Azure Service Health and Azure Advisor. You don't need to pay anything, and you can already use, for example, Secure Score. If you go up higher in the tree, you go to the standard tier. I think it's around 15 euros. So I don't know by head how much it is in dollars for every resource you want to protect in the standard tier. If you go to the standard tier, like I already said, you also have just-in-time VM access. You have regulatory compliance dashboards and reports. And you also have, for example, threat protection for your PaaS services. The latest thing I use a lot at customer sites is the secure scores. It will help you to prioritize your response to security issues, and it will gain you insight in the security state of your cloud workloads. Maybe it's better I show it in a demo. I have opened it over here. So you can see my overall secure score is really bad. It's just 18%. Just keep in mind, it's not to be the best in this. So 100%, that's not the thing you should aim at. but yeah, it can really help you to make your overall score better. You can select your subscription, and then you can see all recommendations. So one thing I didn't follow, and one of the first steps Tim told us, is to enable MFA, for example. You can also see I need to apply some system updates on some specific VMs. And if you click on it, it will say which things you need to do. And it will also tell you on which VMs you need to do it. So it's an easy way to really upscale your security in your Azure environment. So I think your video is in the way. So, and to close off, I think we have some key takeaways. So the first of all is identity. Use it. It's a new security parameter. Everything is identity related these days. So keep in mind you should really protect everyone's identity in your environment. The next one, also create a break glass account. It's nice to enable MFA conditional access, but if one of those services fails, you should still be able to connect to your environment and troubleshoot it. So that's where break glass accounts come in place. You should keep your global admins under control with PIM. I think Tim really explained that very well. You should never use a PIP to connect to your EASIC VIMs, except when it's, for example, a jump box, which you protected with JIT. Then that's the only way, you should be allowed to use a PIP to manage your VMs. So also use the power of MCAS and MDATP against all shadow IT, because people always find a way to do stuff they don't need to do in the company. So use both of those to get all those things under control. And then there are a lot of free Azure services in the environment you can use. You have Azure Advisors. It will give you cloud environment recommendations over your environment. You can use Azure Service Health to keep informed about issues in your environment. And you can also use Azure Security Center, the free tier, to help you better secure your environment. So I think that's it. So it's up to Starlord now. So I don't know if anyone has any questions he wants to be answered.
It's great material, Matthyssen. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
The security stuff is great and something I love talking about as well. And I like the fact in your key takeaways. I've had some conversations with a cloud service provider about how important identity protection is in your entire ecosystem in terms of the cloud. So so the fact that you guys hit on that, and that was your first point of the key takeaways, just confirms that maybe I know what I'm talking about a little bit. So I appreciate that. So yeah, great stuff. I've done a lot of work and content on Security Center as well, and the power of that to just manage that overall environment and the secure score, and how easy it is to maintain your compliance controls within Security Center. So it's really,
especially
really
for companies that really need some compliance rules, because they need to fulfill a specific ISO standard or whatever. It's easy to integrate it and use it in that way, and to do everything they need to do to be replying to it. That's true.
Yes. So doesn't look like we have any questions. I actually had one of the participants say no questions and appreciates the talk. So I appreciate you joining. For everybody that's on the call, we do have just some upcoming events, and to see the schedule for our upcoming meetings. Something I am doing next month is I'm moving this back 3.5 hours to it'd be 8 a.m. Central Time or noon UTC time. So just with me changing my position to, Wednesday, middle of the day for me is going to be difficult because I'll possibly be doing a training course on those days. So need to move it to earlier time, which for those of you in Europe, it's more middle of your day than the end of your day, and maybe infringing upon dinner time. I might be infringing upon lunch, but I do have coming up July 15th, Vukasan Terzic doing a talk on Azure governance, so more stuff on security, which is great. Got Wim and Tim back again to go a little bit deeper into privileged identity management. So looking forward to going deeper into that, because that's a really great service within the Azure environment to manage, as you guys stated in your presentation, the global admin and the ability and making sure that people are just getting just-in-time access to the global admin rather than assigning those. Yes, September 16th, I've still got open. If I don't get any takers on that one, I'll be doing a platform services talk. Then Wim is going to talk more about Azure Bastion again in October, so which is great service as well. And then I've got in November Victor Rodriguez talking about some IoT monitoring for refrigeration trucks, which is kind of cool, and neat new services around what Azure's doing in terms of their IoT hub and Power BI. So looking forward to the upcoming talks, and I'll keep everybody posted on my blog site and social media about those. For any MCTs out there, I've also started an MCT meetup that's going to start next week. So next week I'm going to be talking about just for new MCTs. We got a lot of new MCTs, as probably Wim and Tim have seen out there. A lot of new people joining the program, especially with the free registration for under the pandemic. So a lot of new MCTs. So I'm going to be talking next week about how to navigate MCT Central and the resources that are out there. I'm doing some talks on Hugo Barona's Cloud Lunch and Learn sessions. Starting next week, we're actually doing a full 7-part session on around the objectives of the Cloud Solution Architect Expert for Azure. Skyline Summer Sessions, if any of you are familiar with Skylines Academy, they do a lot of online learning content, and they're doing some weekly YouTube premieres, and mine was just yesterday actually on Azure scale sets and availability sets, but there have been some other ones a couple weeks ago. I think Thomas Moore did Azure Arc, and so there are other ones that are coming up. We had Richard Hooper of Pixel Robots fame that did contain AKS. So a lot of just half an hour quick little podcasts essentially on YouTube on a specific Azure type technology. And then coming up in September, I'm doing a event similar to the Azure Spring Clean or the Azure Advent that was done in Christmas time, with a daily blog or blog video with various Azure or 365 content that is going to be provided by community participants as well. And I think Wim, I've got you on one of those days as well. So those are the things that I've got coming up. And like I said, you can find that information. I try and keep everybody posted on my LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as on my blog account. And feel free to reach out and connect with me. Like Wim and Tim had said, connect with them as well. And I appreciate everybody's time today. So thanks again, Wim and Tim, for joining us and providing some great information.
Thanks for the invite, Dwayne.
Yep.
It was fun. It was fun talking.
Yep, it was
Thanks
nice.
a lot.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
See you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.